Hi everybody. I am sure missing you guys a lot. And I got to thinking, if we were in school together right now, we would start remembering together. We would remember all through the year together. And I would take you back to September when you first came to school, and I would say, what are some of your favorite memories about September? And we'd all be sitting here on the rug. I'm in front of the rug right now, but you're not here. And you would raise your hands and tell me different things that you remember about September when you first came to school. One thing that you might say is, oh, I thought pre-K was going to be really scary, but then it turned out not to be. Or sometimes children have said, I thought I wouldn't know anybody. And then they realized, hey, I made friends pretty quickly with everybody in the class. And they might say, I just wasn't sure because the room was so big. But then as you got used to the room, you started to really like it, right? And then what we would do is I would ask you, what are some of your favorite songs that we sang at the beginning of the year? And so I thought we would sing some of our favorite songs from September to remember together. And then I'll read you a story that you all really liked that we read back in September, okay? The first song that I'm going to sing with you is the Apple Tree Song. Do you remember that one? Okay, stand up wherever you are. Now for you to be able to see me, I can't show you all of me, but I'm standing, okay? And remember when we do the apple song, we would say, okay, put your roots in the ground. So we point our toes, roots. And then our legs was a trunk, trunks, and branches, right? Branches, these are our branches, and these are our leaves. And on the leaves, hanging from the branches, are the apples. Jonah, you weren't here with our class back in September, but I think we sang it a couple of times together after you were here. But if you don't remember it, then you can learn it with us today, okay? All right, ready? Roots, trunk, branches. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Way up high in the apple tree, 3 red apples smiled at me. Remember we do this? Bing! I shook that tree as hard as I could, and down came an apple. Good. Now how many? 2. Okay, ready? Roots, trunk, branches. Ready? Way up high in the apple tree, 2 red apples smiled at me. Bing! I shook that tree as hard as I could, and down came an apple. Good. Now we had 3, then we have 2, now we have 1. You ready? Okay. Roots, trunk, branches. Ready? Way up high in the apple tree, 1 red apple smiled at me. Bing! I shook that tree as hard as I could, and down came the apple. Good. Now how many? 0. Is 0 a number? Yes, 0 is a number. Okay, ready? Roots, trunk, branches. Way up high in the apple tree, 0 apples smiled at me. Bing! I shook that tree as hard as I could, and down came an apple. I made a mistake. Ready? I shook that tree as hard as I could, but there were no more apples. But boy, were they good. Yay! Another song that we sang was You Are Special. We were learning about how God made us and God made the world. And so we sang a song called You Are Special. And we sang it that way because we wanted to be able to sing it to someone else. We talked about how The song can remind us that we're special, but we can also sing it to somebody else. Because one of the things that we forget the most is that we forget how special we are to God. We are special to God because He only made one of us. There's only one of us. And so He would never, ever want to forget about us. He would never, ever want to lose us, right? And so we sang that song, You Are Special, just in case you were with your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister and they forgot that they were special to God. You could sing the song to them, right? Okay. And we go really slow at the beginning and then we get faster and faster. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. We put our arms up like this. You are special. You are special. And then we take our binoculars. Take a look. It is true. Someone very special. Someone very special. God made you. God made you. I think I did the motions differently. I think our hands are down here, aren't they? Right? Okay, let's do it again. I have to remember too. 1, 2, 3. You are special. You are special. Take a look. It is true. Someone very special. Someone very special. God made you. God made you. Okay, we'll just do our speed knobs a little bit this time. Speed up just a smidge because we're probably all still remembering together. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. You are special. You are special. Take a look. It is true. Someone very special. Someone very special. God made you. God made you. Okay, let's do it a little bit faster. You ready? 1, 2, 3. You are special. You are special. Take a look. It is true. Someone very special. Someone very special. God made you. God made you. Okay, ready? Faster. 1, 2, 3. You are special, you are special, take a look, it is true. Someone very special, God made you, God made you. Okay, really fast. Not warp speed, but really fast. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You are special, take a look, it is true. Someone very special, I messed up. Let's start again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You are special, take a look, it is true. Someone very special, God made you, God made you. Okay, now we'll do warp speed. And remember, warp speed in our class is as fast as you can go. Just you can go. So if you're doing this with your brother or your sister, they might go faster, they might go slower, and that's okay. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. You are special, take a look, it is true, someone very special, God made you, God made you. All right, let's do it, no sound, and normal speed. 1, 2, 3. That was good. The other thing we learned, I'm going to sit down for this part, was, I said it a few minutes ago, we learned that God made the world. And we learned a poem. It doesn't rhyme. Poems don't always have to rhyme. But we learned a non-rhyming poem called The 7 Days of Creation. Do you remember? It looks like this. And you'll get a copy of it in your treasure box, your memory box, that you'll be picking up a week from Friday. And so you'll have it forever if you want to practice your 7 days of creation. And so, but I thought it would be fun if we did it now. Now let's go through it first, especially for Jonah. because Jonah, you weren't here with us when we learned it, okay? It goes like this. You put up 5 fingers and 2 fingers. The 7 days of creation. On the first day, God said, "Let there be light." Bing! On the second day, remember you put your arms like this, God made the sky and the water. On the third day, God made, and then you do it like you're smoothing out a tablecloth, remember? The dry land and the plants. On the fourth day, and you put your hands up like this, fists, God made, fingers, the sun, moon, and stars. The sun, moon, and stars. On the fifth day, God made the birds. You can fly like this, or you can fly like this. And the fish. We do fish face, but then you put your hands behind your back, kind of do this with your fingers like this. Okay. And the fish. Really quiet. On the sixth day, God made the animals and the people. And then we always hugged ourselves at that part because we're special to God. And on the seventh day, God rested. The other thing that was really important to learning the 7 days of creation was to remember how God made the world. Remember we made our 7 days of creation book, and we would make it with our hands. We would do finger painting or drawing or sponge painting or stampers or something like that. We paint with a paintbrush. We would make our day using art supplies that were different each day. But then when we would come to circle time, do you remember what we would say? We would say, the first day, God said, "Let there be light." And we would talk about how God said there would be light. He made it with his voice. He spoke, and it was so. And then at the end of that day, he would say, "It is good." Do you remember that? And then on the second day, God made the sky and the water with his voice and said, "It is good." And on the third day, God made the dry land and the plants with his voice and said, do it with me, "It is good." On the fourth day, and this was always our favorite one, God made the sun, moon, and stars, the sun, moon, and stars, with his voice and said, "It is good." And on the fifth day, with his voice, God made the birds and the fish. We can do this too, right? Made the birds and the fish. And then he said, "It is good." And then on the sixth day, God made the animals. And sometimes you guys would jump up in class and jump around like a bunny. You can do that now. The animals. And then the people. And we would walk like people. And then we would hug ourselves to remind us that we're special to God. And he made that, and he said, "It is good." And on the seventh day, God rested. Such a good time. Okay, let's do it one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. The 7 days of creation. On the first day, God said, "Let there be light." Bing! On the second day, God made the sky and the water. On the third day, God made the dry land and the plants. On the fourth day, God made the sun, moon, and stars, the sun, moon, and stars. On the fifth day, God made the birds and the fish. And on the sixth day, God made the animals and the people. And on the seventh day, God rested. And we could be thankful for how special God made our whole world. The world, God's creation, is supposed to remind us that He's thinking about us all the time and that He loves us so much and He never, ever, 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 ever forgets about us. So when you're in bed at night and you can't fall asleep, remember we've talked about that a lot at school, and you've had 72 hugs and 62 drinks of water and you've gotten up 55 times, and your parents say, stay in bed. We've learned songs that we could sing, but you could also do your 7 days of creation. We could do that too, in a little whisper voice, okay? Now, we read a story back in September, which was really a favorite. It was a little sad, but then it got better. And I wanted to read it again because it's just fun to remember together. And it's called Sweetbriar Goes to School. Do you remember this? There's that really mean guy. And so it's this is the book, Sweetbriar Goes to School by Karma Wilson. So I'm going to read it to you now, okay? And remember, we do Story Star. Let's do Story Star. Story Star. Yay. Okay, I'll read it and then I'll show you the pictures. I'm going to bring you just a little bit closer so that you'll be able to see the pictures really well, okay? Okay, here we go. So pretend like you're on the rug at circle time and you can get cozy, okay? Sweetbriar Goes to School by Karma Wilson, pictures by Luann Pham. When she was born, her mother took one look at her and declared, "Isn't she the sweetest thing?" Her dad agreed. So they named her after the sweetest thing that they could think of, the sweetbriar roses growing along the garden hedge. There's a rose that's called Sweetbriar. So here she is. I'm going to make sure I get this right in here. And she was so happy, and she was feeling really good about herself. And her parents' love for her was reminding her of how God loves her, and she was feeling so great, right? Okay. Every night they sang this same lullaby. Sweetbriar, sweetbriar, our pretty little rose, a breath of fresh air wherever she goes. But Sweetbriar was a skunk, and she smelled like one too. And as Sweetbriar grew, so did her aroma. An aroma is a fancy word for smell. And so as she got bigger, when she would smell like a skunk, the smell was bigger, okay? So here's a picture of her mom and dad being very adoring and loving her so much. And then here's a picture of her getting bigger. Okay, she doesn't look smelly, so. Okay, so time passes and she goes to school, right? On the first day of school, Mama and Papa couldn't have been prouder. "Off you go, little squirt," said Papa. "Remember to hold your tail high." Sweetbriar did. With her tail straight up, she skipped all the way to school. Remember, she skipped because she's feeling really good about herself. But when she arrived, all of the students ducked under their desks and screamed, "Skunk!" Okay, that's not the reaction she was expecting, was she? Miss Chicory, she's the teacher, Miss Chicory flitted and fussed. "Oh, Oh my, oh my. Is that any way to greet a new classmate? What is your name, dear? Sweetbriar. Welcome, Sweetbriar. Miss Chicory pointed to a desk. Sit right there. Sweetbriar sat. Everyone scooted as far away from her as possible. That morning, Miss Chicory asked each student to stand up and say one nice thing about someone in the class. Sweetbriar pointed to the groundhog in row 3. Groundhog's fur is a beautiful brown color like pecans. I think pecans are lovely. Okay, so Sweetbriar said something really sweet. But no one said anything about Sweetbriar. No one picked her to talk about. So there they all sitting. And there they are. So she's feeling really sad because she noticed the students picking other people to talk about, and no one chose her. To make matters worse, a lone wolf had been spotted wandering in the woods, so recess was inside. The class played Ring Around the Rosie. Sweetbriar found herself alone on the outside of the ring. When Miss Chicory stepped out to clap erasers, Persimmon Possum pinched her nose and said, "P-U." Ragweed Rat chanted, "Skunks are rotten, skunks are rotten." Most horrible of all, though, Wormwood Weasel sneered and sang, "Stinky Sweetbriar, she's no rose. When she walks by, plug up your nose." So here's the recess where they can't go outside because there's a wolf spotted. And then here are the children in the room making fun of her. Now notice the author of the book writes that the animal children waited until Miss Chicory went outside to clap erasers. If you clap erasers, you clap 2 erasers together to get the dust out. They didn't tease her so openly in front of the teacher. And that tells me that they knew what they were doing was wrong and hurtful, but they did it anyway. After school, Sweetbriar slumped home. Remember, she came to school with her tail high, she's feeling so good. But then what other people said changed how she felt about herself. After school, Sweetbriar slumped home, dragging her tail the whole way. She did not feel sweet. And she definitely did not feel like a rose. "How was school today, little squirt?" asked Papa. Sweetbriar shrugged. Mama frowned. "Do you feel sick?" Sweetbriar hated for her parents to worry about her. "I'm fine." But she hardly ate any dinner and went to bed early. When Mama and Papa started to sing, "Sweetbriar, Sweetbriar, our pretty little Sweetbriar," Sweetbriar sighed and put up her hand and said, "Not tonight. Please, no singing." Have you ever felt like that? The next day at school, everyone showed up with paper clips on their noses. Miss Chicory was not amused. That means she did not think it was funny. So they did that right in front of the teacher. Neither was Sweetbriar. Later, Miss Chicory passed around letters of the alphabet. She asked each student to say 3 words starting with this letter. Sweetbriar got the letter F and said, "Feelings." F is for feelings. F is for frown. F is for friend. I think that's meaningful. Maybe she chose feelings because she was feeling sad, and she chose frown because she'd been frowning a lot since school started because her feelings were hurt. And then she chose friend probably because she really wanted a friend, right? Wormwood got the letter S and said, "S is for skunk, S is for stink, S is for smelly." The whole class stared right at Sweetbriar. It only helped a tiny bit when Miss Chicory said, "S is also for sit. Do sit down, Wormwood, and don't say anything else." So in this story so far, The other animals are only thinking about their feelings. They're not thinking about Sweetbriar's feelings. They're only thinking about how they feel. And they feel frustrated that sometimes she might smell. And they feel like they're confused by that. And then they feel like it's fun to tease her about it. But they're not thinking about her, are they? Because if they were thinking about her, they would understand she can't help it that she smells. She's a skunk. And I'm sorry if it bothers you, but I don't mean to smell. And number 3, it hurts her feelings. It makes her feel like she has no friends. Once more, because of the wolf, they stayed inside again for recess. The class played hide and seek. No one came looking for Sweetbriar. When Miss Chicory stepped into the hall to chat with Mr. Clover, Persimmon pointed at Sweetbriar and said, "Please, play somewhere else." Ragwood shouted, "Skunk smell, skunk smell." And Wormwood sang a new really mean song, the most horrible of all. The whole class joined in. "Sweetbriar, Sweetbriar, she's no rose. She smells worse than grizzly toes." And Sweetbriar felt like she was going to cry. See, notice they're all laughing, but look at her face. She's under the desk. They're only thinking about their own feelings. I think if they could put themselves in her shoes and think of how she's feeling, they would stop. Sweetbriar couldn't wait to get home. "How was school?" asked Mama and Papa. Sweetbriar shrugged and said, "Fine, I guess." But that night, when Papa pretended to be the terrible tickle monster, Sweetbriar barely even smiled. When Mom offered to tell her favorite bedtime story, Sweetbriar said, "Maybe tomorrow." She's feeling so sad, and she doesn't want her parents to worry. As Sweetbriar lay in bed, she listened to her parents talk outside her door. "Something is very wrong," said Papa. "Is she having trouble finding friends?" Mama sighed. "Probably. I remember how hard those first days of school were when I was little. A skunk's perfume can be a little overbearing on some people. We need to talk to the teacher." "Most certainly," Papa said. "But I'm sure Sweetbriar will make friends soon. She's the sweetest thing in the whole world." Sweetbriar whispered to herself, "No, I'm not." Now think about this. Sweetbriar, the kids at school are not able to think about how Sweetbriar feels, but Sweetbriar is able to think about how other people feel. She doesn't want to worry her parents, so she's already thinking about, if I tell them I'm unhappy at school, they will be sad. She should tell them anyway, but she doesn't, because she's thinking about how they feel. That's something we have to practice, thinking about how other people feel. The next day, Sweetbriar dragged her tail the whole way to school. She scrunched down in her desk all morning long. Miss Chicory announced, "The wolf has not been spotted today, so we get to go outside for recess." Everyone cheered. "Yay!" Everyone except Sweetbriar. During recess, Sweetbriar offered her swing to Persimmon, but Persimmon pretended not to notice. Ragweed dropped the ball as Sweetbriar tossed it back. Ragweed wouldn't touch the ball or play with her. And nobody would sit on the other end of the teeter-totter with Sweetbriar. So there the kids are all happy about going outside. And then here, no one will play with her. Most horrible of all, Wormwood shouted, "Hey guys, I have a new Sweetbriar song. It's the funniest one yet." He sang, "Stinky Sweetbriar, she's no..." But just as he was trying to finish his song, he said, "Ah, ah, ah, help, help!" A wolf snatched up Wormwood right in the middle of the song. So there he is, getting ready to do something mean again. Do you see the wolf peeking out from behind the tree? And then he snatches him. Watch what Sweetbriar's going to do. Remember, she's already able to imagine how other people feel. So is she being snatched by the wolf? No. She's just standing there. She's fine. She could run away. But he's being snatched by the wolf. So she's thinking, how is he feeling? Everyone panicked. Everyone except Sweetbriar, who remembered Mama's rule. To keep the wolves and bears away, lift your tail and spray, spray, spray. And that is just what Sweetbriar did. She's spraying that wolf. Now, if she had just thought of her own feelings, she would have thought, Wormwood's always making fun of me, and that makes me feel terrible. So I don't care about how he feels. I'm going to think about how mean he is to me, and I'm going to walk away. But she didn't. She thought about his feelings, and she thought, ooh, I need to help. She squirted that wolf right between the eyes. The wolf dropped Wormwood and ran into the woods, wailing, "Skunk! Skunk! I've been skunked!" "Me too," Wormwood whimpered. Miss Chicory ushered the class inside. Wormwood, dear, would you mind sitting over by the window? You smell a little." Then Miss Chicory declared, "Sweetbriar saved the day. There's no need to worry about wolves with her around. We'll make thank you cards to show our appreciation." See, because she was spraying the wolf, but she couldn't help but get him too. Everyone did, and everyone's card said something wonderful. Persimmon's card said, "Please, let's be pals." Ragweed's card said, "Skunks are cool, skunks are cool." Wormwood said, "I'm sorry. Would you please meet me after school? Let's be friends." Then Miss Chicory presented Sweetbriar with a special gift, a wreath made of sweetbriar roses. A lovely aroma filled the room. The whole class took a deep whiff, and Sweetbriar smelled like a rose. She couldn't wait to show her parents. Those are all the notes. And the heart one is from Wormwood, the really mean guy at the bottom. Very best of all, after school, Wormwood sang a new song to her. Remember, they're going to meet after school? "Thanks to her, we're not wolf bait. Sweetbriar, Sweetbriar, she's just great." The whole class joined in. "Thanks to her, we're not wolf bait. Sweetbriar, Sweetbriar, she's just great." Bait is like food. The whole class joined in, and Sweetbriar held her tail high. Doesn't look very high in the picture, but it's okay. What a great story. Now, when we were in school, you guys wanted to talk about this story because it was really meaningful. And we talked about feelings and imagining how other people feel and how Sweetbriar was already really good at it, remember? She could figure out that her parents would worry about her if they knew she was upset. She figured out that she really shouldn't be mean back to the other kids. She never did that because she was realizing, hey, it doesn't feel good when people are mean to you. So she was already really good about thinking of other people's feelings. But we talked about how you have to practice that. Some people have to practice more than other people. Just like some people can ride a bike sooner than other people because they picked up on it faster. Some people can feel how other people might feel easier than other people. So you have to practice. So be practicing that over the next couple of days. If your brother or sister is bothering you, let's say you're building with blocks and your brother or sister is really bothering you and you think, I'm feeling frustrated. Stop for a second and think, okay, why are they bothering me? Maybe what are they feeling? Maybe they're feeling lonely. Maybe they're feeling sad. Maybe they're feeling like what I'm doing looks really fun. and try to figure out a way that you could help your brother or sister. Maybe find something else for them to do, or take a few minutes to play with them. Help them feel better, read them a story, and then tell them you need some alone time to play. Okay? I love you guys. I'll see you soon. We'll turn off Story Star. Bye.